everyone. So my name's Neil Serridge. I'm a design director for BENOY. A little bit about BENOY just before we get started. So BENOY, we are a British practice, headquartered in the UK and Shanghai in Asia. And we are a multidisciplinary design practice with architecture, interior design, master planning, landscape, and branded environments. And it's quite interesting. A lot of the time, a lot of our disciplines always work together to see how we can bring the most out of our retail developments. And I think what's interesting about retail in the Middle East and globally, I think the core principles of retail are very similar, but wherever you design in the world, they are subtle dynamics of how they change depending on who you're designing for, the clients, the people you're designing for, and the context in which you're designing for as well. So BENOY, I think what really always kind of forms the foundations of what we do is kind of really understanding the commercial planning and the market's awareness. As I said before, where we design is really important, so understanding who we're designing for, context, culture. This really does drive how we approach retail, our strategy, and understanding what our clients expect as well. So these are just some of the disciplines that we cover. And as I said, a lot of the time we always work together, especially when we're looking at retail and placemaking across whichever continent we're working within as well. So what I'll be talking about today a little bit more is just about how we design retail in the Middle East. And I think for us, one of the biggest challenges is that the climate that we are designing within as well. My background is I'm an architect. I've been living in the Middle East now for 13 years. I've been designing retail-led master plans for the last 20 years. The first part of my career was in the UK, designing Liverpool 1 and Oxford Westgate. And I think what always fascinates me about retail is how it's such a great tool for placemaking, how it brings people together. And I think wherever we are, it's always been a great tool for me of how we use that to socially interact with people. And I think throughout history, if we look back through ancient history from the agora, marketplaces, town squares, it's always been a place where people come together, exchange ideas, trade. And how we approach retail today is really, it's no different to what people were doing back in those ancient times. And it's just really about bringing people together to exchange and to socially interact as well. So the Middle East and how we approach design and retail is really transforming. I think this is in the background, this is a project which we designed probably over 10 years ago. This is the beach in Dubai, JBR. And this really, I think at the time, was quite a groundbreaking project. The developer for this was Miras. Our brief was to create a retail mall on the beachfront. So through the optioneering process and ideation, it just didn't feel like the correct thing to do. I think we were on the beachfront. We had a beautiful, expansive promenade opportunity to activate with retail lifestyle. So we really begin to explore how we create a more permeable retail offer. Back then, the idea of outdoor retail really wasn't discussed. Everything was always about air-conditioned malls, mega malls. And I think we worked hard with Miras to convince them that there was an opportunity here to break the mold. And what we created with the beach in Dubai was really an outdoor destination focused around lifestyle, focused around bringing people outside. And I think the important thing for this project was really for us to understand who we were designing for. This very much now is a destination within Dubai. Lots of tourists come here, the community use this, and it's a beautiful project. The key principles around this design was to activate the waterfront with a boardwalk and F&B opportunities and terraces. And then the central spine which sits behind this is a series of retail, courtyards, streets and squares and opportunities. So we know that F&B, that can spill outside, that can be outside, and retail typically needs a little bit more shade. I think this is 80% F&B, 20% retail. So the opportunity to thrive in those external conditions was a lot more promising. And I think you can all, last night was a prime example. When people think of the Middle East, they think it's always hot. For 7 or 8 months of the year, it's really great to be outside. And I think promoting this type of architecture was a new urban typology for Dubai and really was a catalyst for similar developments across the region as well. It's interesting, I think, in Dubai, there's a 2040 vision. In Saudi Arabia, they have a 2030 vision. And there is a shift in retail. I think the landscape of retail has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. The introduction of e-commerce, people shop differently, they buy differently. So I think retail has had to reimagine what it has to offer. It is much more focused around experience. It's much more focused around personality and personal shopping experiences. And in essence, this has elevated the retail game. I think when you go to shop, it's less about the art of the transaction. It's about the art of the experience. What we see now a lot more of is, and this is a change of the dynamic of the retail model, which was very much focused around a typical figure-of-eight shopping centre, cinema at the top, food court, leisure and experiences, intertwining itself much more into the retail offer. And to get people from their homes, off their iPads, off their phone shopping, we have to give different experiences. And I think that's much more what you're seeing in the retail that we're developing today and what clients are expecting as well. This is a retail development, a boutique luxury development that we've designed in Riyadh, in the heart of Riyadh. This is Project Solitaire. This is one of the new typologies that we've been developing. It's much more of a hybrid approach. So we try to focus a little bit about how can we bring people outside when the weather is good, and how do we create internalized shopping environments which can break outside into those open spaces when the weather's great, and then when the weather's a little bit hotter and people tend to want to have a lot more shade, we've still got that opportunity of creating that retail experience, but always thinking about thermal comforts as well. It's quite interesting when we design in the Middle East. I think Dubai in the summer is incredibly humid, so we always have to be conscious about how we create usable spaces, especially during the summer months. Riyadh is incredibly dry heat, so we have a lot more opportunities to bring people outside. Jeddah is, again, similar to Dubai, is very humid. So wherever we design in the Middle East, we always have to be very conscious about the climate, also kind of what works and what doesn't in terms of the demographic who we're designing for. This is a project which we designed probably it was opened about 6-7 years ago. This is City Walk in Dubai. We designed the master plan for this, and then we developed the retail design for the heart of the master plan. This was an interesting project. Our biggest competitor was about 5 minutes up the road. We've got one of the largest malls in the world, in Dubai Mall. So the focus of this opportunity was to really create much more of a walkable destination. I think very much focused around leisure and entertainment and F&B dining. Interestingly, when we designed this project, we looked at multiple various different options about how we can enclose the space completely. Is it an air-conditioned environment? And I think on the success of what we did at the Beach JBR, it encouraged the client to continue to explore this new urban typology in the Middle East, which was being able to look up to the sky, having fresh air. And I think we've provided lots of shaded opportunities within this. And I think well, the name speaks for itself. City Walk, it was all about creating an extension of the urban context and bringing that into something which is very much more focused around retail. The core principles of the design were focused around streets, squares, plazas, making it feel like an authentic part of the city, and lots of opportunities for outdoor entertainment spaces which can be programmed for different times of the year as well. A lot of the work that we do at the moment is currently in Saudi Arabia, like I'm sure for many people. And I think it's interesting what we do is, I think, as I say, the retail is a byproduct of what people come to experience. And I think what we're always trying to do is create opportunities for people to engage and socially interact. This is a project that we designed in a small, very tight site in Riyadh on Talia Street. It was about 8,000 square meters along a busy road. So this idea of creating a vibrant piece of architecture which embraces and hugs the highway, introducing a series of connected courtyards and internal spaces to promote dining as well, was kind of the opportunity that we developed with this as well. And for us, this is something which we feel quite passionately about as a business, this new urban typology of bringing people outside. I think when we go to the Middle East, I think there's lots of, and wherever you are, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, lots of opportunities to be indoors. I think BENOY, we've always been pushing to kind of look at these new typologies of bringing people outside, and this new kind of urban hybrid typology. This is a project that we designed it's a small F&B district in Kobar, which is on the Eastern Province. A series of 10 restaurants wrapped around a beautiful urban oasis. Interestingly, the site is not far from the Corniche, but it's along a very busy highway. So what we wanted to do is create this very tranquil urban water plaza, extremely well shaded, dining terraces spilling out onto those open streets as well. This is still, one of the most successful F&B destinations in the Eastern Province at the moment. And then just some images of that as well. I think for us, when we think about how we design and create these typologies, Kobar is very hot during the summer and does have incredibly high humidity. We have a single level basement car park underneath the development. As you drive underneath, you can pop up directly into the heart of the urban plaza. The orientation of the buildings were crafted to allow prevailing wind to cut through the site, pass over the water bodies, and then with the trees and the shading opportunities that were provided, just helps to enhance that microclimate within the site as well, to encourage people to dwell and be outside for longer as well. This is a project that we've designed in Bahrain. This is due to open in March of this year. I think, again, this is a wonderful waterfront development. It was a mixture of different uses. Phase 1 is retail, F&B, hospitality, and a yacht club. Phase 2 will be a Shangri-La hotel and service and branded apartments. As I said, phase 1 due to open in March. I think, again, what we really love to test as a typology is bringing people close to those external environments, and the opportunity here was a beautiful 100-berth marina. Getting people closer to that waterfront edge. Again, lots of opportunity for people to sit outside within the dining terraces, shaded by the buildings. And then the retail environment, which sits behind this, is a shaded retail environment. Lots of tensile canopies. We also looked at to encourage that retail to be outside for longer, CFD analysis. So a lot of the air conditioning which we have within the buildings, we kind of bring out into the streets as well at a low level, which again, when we run the analysis, this just helps to bring that external temperature down by a couple of degrees, which creates, that encourages that dwell period as well for the retail environment as well. You can see here by the image on the top right, it was really all about creating that permeability and bringing people down closer to that water edge. The project itself is set around a radial grid, and then everything leads you down to that waterfront and that boardwalk. The image in the middle is the yacht club, which is now again due to be open in March. And then the view on the left is just from one of the service branded apartments as well. I think more and more importantly, especially within the Saudi 2030 vision, it's interesting. I've been back and forth working in Saudi Arabia for probably about the past 10 years. And when I first started developing designs and retail master plans, there wasn't much of a focus on the culture, the heritage and the identity of the country. So I think a lot of what we saw being developed previously was a little bit ad hoc. It was a little bit confused in terms of its identity, the architectural language, and who it was designing for. And I think what we love to do is to get beneath the surface of who we're designing for, especially in Saudi Arabia. They do not want to be Dubai. They have a very rich heritage, and they're very conscious that they want to be building for their people. And then when people see a development, it's instantly recognizable of being from one of the regions within Saudi. And this is a project that we've designed in Diriyah Gate. Diriyah Gate is an absolutely huge mega project, one of the giga projects in Riyadh, overlooking the palace. And the guidelines which we had to follow for this was very much guided by the Salmani Architectural Design Code. So Diriyah, for anybody who doesn't know, is the birthplace of Saudi Arabia. So this is a very rich cultural and heritage district. The retail principles of how we approach retail design and outdoor retail design still remain the same, although the architecture is based on the old vernacular. What we try to do in terms of bringing people outside, activated F&B dining terraces, maximizing views out over the palace and the wadi, but then also thinking about how does this activate, how is this used within the day and throughout the day as well. So you can see here shading is really important, the vegetation, the materiality that we use as well to try and absorb that heat and allow that to be released at night is really important as well. So it's yes, it's a challenge designing in hot environments, but there's still lots of opportunity. And I think naturally, people have an innate desire to be outside and to engage with nature rather than being inside in air-conditioned malls as well. Again, just some more images from Deary Gate developments. This is a project that we're designing in Riyadh, Talal Al Riyadh, and it's interesting. Yes, we design lots of mega retail master plans. I think as Riyadh is expanding, you're part of the 2030 vision, and the same for Dubai, part of 2040. There are a lot of new communities being created with the increased population, and I think the dynamics of retail have changed quite a bit. The mega mall will always be there. Dubai Mall is expanding, but people are looking more and more for community retail opportunities. And interestingly, the convenience retail as part of a community hub it's much more than that now. I think people are now beginning to use retail as an opportunity to be the social hub for the community and bringing people together. And this is what we've tried to do with Talal Al Riyadh. Again, it's only 20,000 square meters, sits in the heart of a residential community. It's got a series of retailers, F&B, office space, cinema, entertainment. But what we tried to do again is there used to be a park here, so we tried to retain the essence of the park, which sits in the middle, and create a beautiful landscaped opportunity for the people in the community to use, and then supporting that with a series of different retail and commercial opportunities as well. Successful retail development is much more extrovert these days. Yes, I think what the great opportunity about designing outdoor retail is about how you can connect to your surrounding environment. I think typically air-conditioned mall environments are very introvert. They look inwards. They have a lot of kind of blank walls around the side. A lot of car parking. I think the opportunity about open street retail is how we connect with our neighbours, and it's a more interesting way of stitching in with the existing urban fabric as well within the cityscape. This is actually a project that we designed in Marseille, not far from the football stadium. Again, it's G+3, 3 levels of retail. Quite a small scheme, but again, that idea of promoting people being outside. Obviously, the conditions in Marseille very different than what they are in the Middle East. Again, that shaded canopy is to kind of keep you warm and to keep the rain out as well. I think more and more what we're trying to do as well is to how we can work with our landscape design team and bring this idea of biophilic design, more walkable design, more sustainable design within our retail opportunities as well. This is a project that we've been designing in China. Again, putting a community space in the heart of the retail opportunity and allowing everything else to respond to that. So almost the retail becomes the backdrop. It's almost less significant, and the public spaces that we create for the community and for the retail are almost kind of the most important thing as well. Again, this is a project that we've designed in China. I think, again, that idea of how we connect to the surrounding context, shaded walkable streets, active frontages, shading as well, again, kind of super important. Thank you.